What's up, volleyball fans? I'm Darren Tipton, and welcome to the VB Adrenaline Podcast. Our podcast, we will dive deep into the heart of the game, bringing you the hottest topics, prospects, and a buzz surrounding prep and college volleyball, especially the world of recruiting. In each episode, our crew will spotlight rising stars who are shaking up the national game. Plus, we will serve you the scoop on current events that have coaches and fans talking courtside. Tune in for the episodes that spotlight tomorrow's college stars, new trends in the sport, plus interviews that will keep you informed on the explosion that is volleyball in the USA. You can connect with us on social media, Instagram at vbadrenaline.com_ and Twitter at vbadrenaline. Be part of the conversation. Share your thoughts on your favorite players, prospects, and predictions by using hashtag VBAdrenaline. So grab a seat, volleyball fans, and get ready to dive into the world of spikes, sets, and serves with the VB Adrenaline Podcast. See you there. All right, everybody, welcome back. Another episode, another week, another episode of the VB Adrenaline Podcast. I'm Darren Tipton from vbadrenaline.com, and every week when we play that intro, it's 2 years old now, and we pick some really good athletes to spotlight, especially today as the Gatorade Player of the Year 2024 edition came out, and quite a few winners, a couple repeat winners in there, and we did a nice job 2 years ago at predicting the future. As I guess that's what we do a little bit. But welcome back to another episode, and a great episode tonight. I'm excited to talk with a young lady. I guess we met a year and a half ago, heading into her sophomore season, I believe, and we followed her through, and then we watched what we thought was her big breakout camp at NTDP last January. But today we're going to talk with Genevieve Harris, class of 2026. I apologize. We don't want to rush her out the door quite yet, but 2026 setter, out of North Carolina, and a Texas commit verbal. But we're going to talk about today an important topic, and topic is how thriving from constructive criticism can change your recruiting, and more so just how taking input on your game, on handling yourself, and just how she handles that, how she handles that in her game, and more so how she handled a couple instances early on, and how she chose to, I guess, choose her attitude, and how it catapulted her to, the top of the charts, I guess, in her class. And well, she's headed to Texas, so she did something right. But with that, let's add Genevieve here. And Genevieve, thanks again. This is the third or fourth time we've been able to speak, but thanks for taking time to talk with me tonight.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm super happy to talk with you.
Yeah, well, we're getting to be old pals. I think this is our maybe third official, and we've talked quite a few times other than that. But yeah, we're gonna dive right in, and we'll talk a lot about your recruitment and some questions on that. But the topic tonight for the podcast specifically is just handling, maybe criticism might not be the word, but handling input on throughout your recruiting. And we specifically talked off camera, and it was kind of the word maybe is a maturity process growing up, and really it is growing up. But as we talked about, and the instance we're going to talk about a little bit, we're going to remember when you're getting ready for recruiting, we're talking about when you guys are 13, 14 years old. So when you're getting to be a star and getting to be noticed, you guys have a lot of growing up to do. But let's talk a little bit about your early years coming from a competitive family, right? And so being pushed to do that and being in a competitive family. And that could be perceived as when you're a young female athlete because females mature at such different rates. But let's just talk about your early years playing volleyball, first of all.
Yeah. So I started playing volleyball when I was 11, 12. My mom forced me to my first clinic. I didn't want to go, but after that, I couldn't stop going back. But I'd always been raised in a competitive household. My dad played college lacrosse, so did my brother. And we just grown up playing sports as a family and my extended family too. And I just always known to just try and be the best of whatever I'm doing. And just that's how you're going to be successful. And so going into volleyball, I was playing lacrosse at the time as well. I've been playing lacrosse since I was very young. So I was handling those two sports. And as volleyball kind of developed, I was like, okay, this may be something I have to take more full time than splitting these two sports. And I had to decide if putting all my time into one sport was worth it. Because at the time, I didn't know if I was going to, be able to go to college for the sport. That seemed so far away. So I made the decision to quit lacrosse, focus on volleyball, and I joined a larger club when I was 13, 14. And that's when I started to really see real improvement. And I think my club being so open, I could just go into the gym whenever I wanted and I could get reps. That's what really ultimately helped me get to the level I am now. And so I'm super grateful for that. But growing up around the competitive mindset in my family, pushing me to be the best I can be, believing in me, and not necessarily holding me to a standard of being the best, but just being supported by them, knowing that they believe that I can be, live up to my potential. That's what got me in the gym every day with the people that I was able to train with.
Right. And so you knew how to push yourself. You've been pushed by your family. You grew up in that environment. And so, but as we talked about with female athletics and younger female athletes, the competitiveness comes at different levels and different ages. Right. And with you excelling, we talked about that, and that can come across sometimes as that can be perceived depending on how bought in you are at different levels, right? Sometimes girls invest in different amounts early on, right? And some, especially with volleyball, because with it being a newer sport and in different parts of the country. Now, North Carolina, you were in a smaller club right away.
Yes.
Right. So what was that like? Was that super all in, like a nationals team where everybody was super competitive, or was it more of a mix?
It's funny, I haven't thought about that. It kind of went from me being pretty chill, I guess, just kind of not laid back, but I definitely wasn't super a fierce competitor. That was my 12s, 13s years at Chavik. And then I went to academy, and that's when my kind of competitiveness came out. And then I learned to settle down a little bit. But yeah, when I was at Chavik, I definitely was less of a competitor on the court. And I was also a different position. So it definitely could have impacted that. I was a middle versus a setter. So I guess I had kind of not a less important role, but a less it was easier as a setter to be a leader because I'm on the court the entire time. So I think that probably affected it too. But yeah, at Chavik, I definitely was not as verbal as I became at academy.
Right. And when, a lot of times when we talk about this, a lot of the nonverbal things and early on, and we talk about coachability, and sometimes the perception could be like attitude wise, right? And whether fair or unfair, right? You can get labels. And we had talked about before you getting a label of whether it's, I don't want to say a bad teammate, right? But ultra competitive or bossy or whatever, 85 other words, right? And with you had talked about just being extremely competitive, right?
Yes.
And, it was more of a realization of just kind of growing up and maturing. But with the title of this episode, what I wanted to talk to you about was whether it was brought to your attention, and you had a couple ways you could go with it, right? You were talented enough and athletic enough and knew you were pretty good, right? Where you're probably going to have some looks college-wise regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But having the realization that maybe as look and being a better teammate or better leader, just being, how did you put it? You put it so well when we talked before, of just kind of recognizing it, or how did you put it before?
So I think my coachability, I think, has always not been the same, but I think I've always thought of myself as pretty coachable. My dad was my first coach. Like if it doesn't get harder to be coached by your dad, I don't know what is. So I had to learn from a pretty young age how to take criticism well. And I think that enabled me later on to take it from a mental standpoint, because usually it had been like when I was playing lacrosse, it was, you need to fix this shot, fix this, whatever. That was more physical. When I got to volleyball and became a little bit more like just developed as a setter, I was getting less like little critiquey things on criticism and like ways I can be better versus the mental side of it, like you were talking about. Yeah. And so I think my main goal when I was getting the feedback, and honestly, sometimes it wasn't even getting the feedback, it was just hearing things around town. Like I live in a very close-knit community. It's big. Like Raleigh's 1 million people, but the volleyball community, we only have 2 big clubs in the area. So everybody knows everybody. It's a full circle. Like it's very close-knit. So when I was hearing not stories, but just little chirps that I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know if that's right, or that's not how I perceive myself. But I guess I started to kind of understand, watching myself too on film, their perspective. And I had to remind myself, like, okay, don't take this as offensive or bash on me as a player, but I can use this like as insightful ways for me to get better than the people that I'm going to be competing against. Because no matter where you go, there's going to be a competition. Someone's going to be wanting to be better than you. Someone's going to be better than you. So if you take that feedback as a good thing, knowing that ultimately it's going to make you a better player, it becomes a lot easier to be motivated to put in that work to become better. And that can be intangibles or, your actual playing. But for me at the time, it was intangibles. And I think I realized also just by growing up with the girls, like I've kind of been on the same type of team for my entire club career at academy. Like, okay, these became not only my teammates, these became my best friends. And it was I no longer wanted to be getting visibly mad. It hurt, not that it hurt me, but these are my friends, like my good friends now. So I think I developed emotionally too, to realize like, okay, if we're going to take this team that's already talented to the next level and to connect the certain dots that need to be connected, I need to be more aware of how I'm treating my teammates and also how I'm just looking on the court. Because sometimes it wasn't even, how I was responding, but just my body language. Like if they saw me disappointed, if they saw me like looking like, oh, I don't think we're going to win this one, like that's what they thought. Like that's how it was. So I had to also learn through my body language, through what I was showing them on the court after a big point, after a bad point, whatever it was, like they're going to be feed off at that energy. So I had to learn how to harness that a little bit better too. And I think it became to a point where it was like, okay, I recognize the way I'm doing this now is making our team play much better. Like after I started kind of critiquing myself and taking the little stories I've been hearing as just motivation to be better, our team got better. And that was all the evidence I needed that was the difference. And that was also, everybody else got better. We got new players, like all those different things. But I think the leadership aspect of it, us having a real, like, good leader also helped our team go to nationals for 3 years in a row. Like that was what it was. So,
yeah. And people may listen to this and say, what the heck does this have to do with volleyball or recruiting? And I'm going to tell you, because we go around and we talk about, our PPV, and we're going to put that up there. And here's exactly what it has to do. And Genevieve and I have talked about this. And so coming into last year, about this time, about 3 weeks before the winter NTP, I kept hearing there was this big jumble of 6, 7, 8 setters in the class of 26 that, really had to work their way out. Afterwards, I don't think that was really true, but that was the tea, if you will. That was the talk. And we don't do rankings. We do prospect player values, right? And we tell people all the time, okay? Now, none of those people are probably listening to this that need to hear it, but we say this will go up and down all the time, okay? Week to week, day to day, month to month. We're going to update the 2025 class, a big update in a little bit. And there's going to be people that are in the top 5 that move around. There's going to be people that, wherever, that are going to go up, they're going to go down. And there are going to be some that are going to get really upset. And what I laugh about is I'm like, if you're going to the school you're going to, and this little score up here moves and that upsets you, and you're going to one of these logo schools, you better think again about going to that logo school. Because if this little number bothers you, you're not ready to go to that logo school. You really aren't. What Genevieve just talked about, the changes that she made, because like she talked about what she was hearing, she could have thrown a fit. She could have fought back. Her parents could have gone after those people that she heard all those stories from, right? Those rumors, that gossip, all that, right? And that would have done absolutely no good, because where she's going and wants to go, they won't be in that path. But she made the mature decision to use that to make her better and improve her teammates. She didn't hang her head. She didn't call some website guy and text him and chew him out, right? Like, she got better because of it, and your team improved, right?
Yes.
And then what happened to your game?
It improved, and I could see not only my like intangibles, my leadership skills, but my physical skills were improving too, because my teammates trusted in me more. My teammates had more, they just believed in me as a leader to do the right thing and make the right call and say the right thing at the right time to each individual person. And them trusting me was more than I could ever need as a setter, to know that my team around me trusts me to, make the right decision in every single play. That's what I needed to get my confidence to the next level. And I think if I had let that criticism affect my confidence, that obviously would have been a hindrance on my performance. But instead, using it as motivation, knowing that you wouldn't be getting it if people didn't care, that's the only way to do it. And I think if you really want to get to the next level, be the next elite player, you have to be able to receive that and know that every single person ahead of you that has ever been good, or every single person better than you, has gotten that feedback before, and they've taken it in, and you need to do the same.
Yeah. And so you talk about recruiting, to parents that might be listening, or, so think about how there's this finite number of scholarships, especially at the setter position.
Yes.
Right. They take one every other year, and with transfers and whatnot, they're taking less and less high school kids, right? They can take transfers, they can take foreign players. They're taking less and less, more selective, especially in the top 20 programs, right, where Genevieve's headed. And so when they're looking at those elite programs, they're looking for any reason not to take you, in essence. So they're looking for any little thing to separate you. So for her to show those negative skills, right, or her parents, right, to throw a fit or complain or rip her teammates. Well, the only reason Genevieve has a bad attitude on the court is because her teammates suck, right? That's the only reason she acts bad is because her teammate. No. And so when she did that, her stock did this, right? And then she moved up. It might not even have been that the other setters in the class did anything wrong. They just might not have done anything excellent, right? And we hear those things. Those are the things we hear. And so the reason we are talking is because of how she handled herself, where other setters might just have been okay, right? And this is not anything. I am teaching the lesson that these are the things that we hear about excellent leadership are doing those things, which is an extremely mature task. And that's why we're talking about it, because the things that I hear, right, what I get to see, what I get to hear are the exact opposite. Okay. Where parents love me, love me, love me. And then that little PPV number drops a couple points, and then they don't love me, don't love me, don't love me. And I'm going to sleep fine at night regardless. Okay. But if that bothers you or that bothers your kid, you're not making the decisions that those big logo schools want to see. They want to see what Genevieve did. Right. And there's others. I just personally know this story because I watched her, because unfortunately I heard those stories as well. And I wish I never would. I wish I would have just heard this end result because I did watch her, and her and I have talked about this. I watched her, and then I watched her off the court, and I looked for any reason to see it, and I never did. So kudos to you, and that's what great leadership looks like. And then that led you to great things. Your club team had a great year last year. Talk about that. Talk about your club season and how well you guys played the entire season.
Yeah, our club team, we're just like the tightest team I've ever been on. Like it's just like, it's not even like a team at some points. It's just like, this is a group of friends that's just hanging out. We just love each other so much. And it's just, that's what makes it so fun. Every single practice, we all show up, and, we might be tired, you might be sore, you might be whatever, not in the mood, homework. But because we're just surrounded by people who care so much about each other and the game, it motivates each of us to care that much more for each other. And that's something we've been working on this year. We've had some troubles staying consistent, like throughout our entire season, throughout tournaments, throughout games even. And this year, we've really been dialing in on every single point is the exact same, play the exact same way with the exact same intent, the exact same drive, because this is our last, some of us, this is our last season playing. This is my last season playing. And we want to go out on the best possible note we can. And so if that means, covering every single ball, being in the same base every single time, that's what we're going to be willing to do this season to be the best that we can be, because we know we are a very talented team when it comes down to the roster. If you look at the roster, we got some great athletes, and we're super excited this year to give it one last go.
I know I don't know much, about the game. So this match, who these highlights are against?
Yes.
So what was the scouting report? Pick on the libero?
She was pretty good. We she was pretty good. We had to keep it away from her.
That's right. As we talk about your soon-to-be teammate, and we'll talk about mentality in a minute. But what I like, though, your guys' mentality would keep playing these a little bit. When you're going, you're intense every time. Do you have somebody as a setter? Is there somebody you look up to or kind of mold your game as a setter after?
I wouldn't say there's like one specific person that I am just constantly watching, but I have really loved watching almost all the teams who were in like the Sweet 16, round of 30. Like they were all Izzy Stark, Ella, everyone who's playing on top level team. They're obviously very talented. And if I actually like going around and watching different setters, because like a lot of them are great at different things. And it's interesting to just feed off of that and see, oh, what can I add that she does really well to my game? And I think watching a variety of setters is definitely the best way to go, I think, if you want to be the best player.
What are some things you talk about, Izzy? And I still can't believe, I'm gonna pause this for a second. I can't believe how y'all are doing this at 18 on the national stage. I can't believe how the freshmen are coming in and doing what they're doing as freshmen now. Izzy and Nielis, I talked about Nielis repeatedly, what she did at Louisville this year, and with her energy, but the intensity of Izzy, and I think sometimes your intensity cranks up. You might be a little more intense than maybe even either of those two, but on the court. But the intensity, where do you is there somebody you match intensity with?
My brother.
Yeah.
If I'd say it, I can't really think of anyone. I actually remember my friend. Well, this is Hallie Thompson. This is such a funny story. She told me when she first saw me, like they're her team. They first watched me like 14s, 15s year. They had a really funny name for me. That basically it was just like, this girl's really intense. Like this girl was like very intense. And I think if I had to like just not necessarily even a volleyball player, but if I had to just name a person, my brother, when he plays sports, when we're playing against each other, and even the stupidest games, like we definitely match each other in intensity.
Well, you're coming from a lacrosse background. That's not that's not a patty cake sport.
No.
You, as far as conditioning and physicality, what do you do now? So, like, talk about, we're watching highlights, everybody looks good, but when you struggle, what do you do when you struggle on the court?
Yeah, I think that's something every player should have a strategy or a way that they kind of reset when they're struggling, especially if you're a setter, because you know you're getting the ball the next play. Like, it's not like you're a hitter and I can be like, okay, like I'll give her a break. Like, you're getting the ball the next play. I usually, if I feel like I made a bad set or I made a wrong decision, I kind of just like, I literally shake my hands. Like, I just shake my hands, and I'll be like, during the point, if I made a bad set, if I, did something I probably shouldn't have done, I know it the second it leaves my hands, I'm like, dang it, I'll just shake my hands and I'm like, hey, it's gone. Or I'll take a deep breath, like trace my fingers and just let my shoulders go loose, because at the end of the day, like, that's in the past and nothing you can do about that. And I know what I can accomplish, and maybe I'll visualize a point that I love or a game that I love and just remind myself, like, okay, that wasn't your greatest moment, but you have other great moments and it's time to unlock that again. And I think it's really important to just reset your mind and just forget about the past, be a goldfish, because that's the only way you can move on, truthfully.
Yeah. Do you, we ask this because we talk about leadership, and I know you've followed a little bit of what we do. We've interviewed you a couple times, and golly, you were one of the you might have been one of the first like 5 interviews we ever did for the website. But you know how much I believe in the right kind of leadership and setting good examples and stuff. But what do you do when you see other top athletes that don't have good attitudes, or they don't have a great attitude, or they complain, and everybody in interviews and wherever, they want to talk about all the positive stuff, but there's negative stuff that goes on too, right? Are you just to mind your own business, or you step in and straighten them out, or you just handle yours, or what do you do?
Do you mean like if someone's on my team or just another
team? I mean, you've been in the USA gym where we're all on the same team. You've been, part of something bigger, your team, college camps,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think if it's like a close-knit scenario, like if it's my teammate who's maybe not having the best day, or, anything that's like I feel comfortable having this conversation with her because I would feel comfortable having like another kind of deep conversation with this person, not based on volleyball, then I'd go up to them and maybe if it's affecting the team, especially too, if it's kind of like an energy sucker or someone's not treating someone nicely or fairly, definitely I think it's important to say something in a way that's not obviously attacking that person, but just letting them know you notice it. And that's because a lot of times the best way to go about that is just to let them know that people are aware of it and that it's not necessarily like, you need to do this better, but it's just like, hey, like, are you guys okay? Like, because they'll be like, oh, what? Like, it's bleeding off now. I think if it's someone that I don't necessarily know that well, or it's like a larger setting and it's just kind of a personal problem, you can kind of just tell sometimes if a girl is like really having, especially in like the USA gym, obviously like a lot of girls feel a lot of pressure. Like it can be a very stressful situation if you let it. And if someone's struggling, like in their own mental mindset, that's not something you can necessarily get in the way of. So I think if it's something more personal, um, I'll just let them figure it out on their own. But if it's something that's affecting the majority and the good of the group, then I'd say something.
Yeah. It's crazy to bring all those talented athletes from all those different cultures and parts of the country, and the job you guys do to come together that fast, which literally last summer was so fast. Would you get a couple weeks to train?
We got, I guess, like not the tryout, but when there was like a 20-person roster, we got like 5 days for that. And then we went to Colorado Springs for 5 days before we went to Honduras. And then we got a day to practice. So and we'd all been in the gym together before, but definitely did not feel like we had. No, I mean, no, at the same time, I feel like we did have enough time. Like we felt like a very like intertwined team when we were stepping on the court for the first time. So, but that was also just a testament to how close we'd become as a team. I remember our USA coaches, they were telling us this is like the most fun, like, and not fun, but most
Yeah.
comfortable group that we've ever had this fast. Like y'all just became best friends like that. And I think that was really what helped us become the team that we were and like play as a team that looked like they were on the same team together for years and had been 2 weeks. So I think that just is a testament to how important being close to the people you're playing with is.
Do you feel like we go in that your training and your prep, I mean, you're headed headed to Texas, right? And you know what comes with that territory. Are you, once you do the big announcement, right? And you throw it out on Instagram, and then what happens after? Because that's a big part of our mission statement is, okay, we had the birthday cake, and now celebrate real quick, but now's when you really have to get to work. What's that been like since? And what's your mindset been since? I mean, still pretty rare air, but how do you prepare? What's it been like since you verbaled getting ready, and how do you approach it? How do you think about it? Knowing one heck of an honor, but man, it's Texas, and I mean, that's all Americans everywhere.
Yeah. My club director, John Garner, does a really good job of preparing us. He just is so straight up with us. He's like, if y'all play like this, you won't play in college. Like it's just so straight up. So I think our entire team is just like, we're just so ready for the struggles that college is going to come with. And it's interesting because all of the academy alumni, like who have been coached by John, like everyone's like, yeah, he was right. Like like everyone was more prepared than they thought they were going to be because of his just no filter, but in a good way. Like, I mean, filter, but like he was just honest with how hard it's going to be. It's not like we're going to college to have we're going to college to have fun, but it's not going to be easy at all.
No.
So I think remembering that as I'm practicing, and like if it's like a hard practice or I'm tired or have homework or anything like that, and I'm like maybe not going to my 100% or not doing all the little things that I know I should be doing, I'm just like, okay, wait, in a year, I'm going to be playing in this gym with these people with these expectations. Like, let me really focus. And I literally use that in my head as a reminder. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm working towards. Like, this rep matters more than you think it does. So that's my kind of motivation when I'm going about this next couple months and year of playing before I head off to college. Just knowing that everything really is a feeder in life. Like, high school season was hard. We play on really hard floors. It sounds like a dumb thing to say, but our floors are really hard. We play every single day for like 2-3 hours, and it really hurts your body sometimes, but you just got to push through for the next thing that you're going to go do in life.
Right. Which, yeah, there's a lot of things that y'all are given, but you know what? You guys have earned that. And I love everything about the culture that I've heard. And I mean, you've been acclimated to it. It sounds real. It sounds legit, and they've been pretty genuine with me and the people, the athletes that I've met. I just had a chance to interview Emma for our bracket show, and like I said, they're one of the few programs that I can be honest with, and their feelings don't get hurt. Kind of like yours. And coach can honestly call me, and he's like, "Yeah, we did play like crap. We need to play a lot better." And I don't get nasty grams, and it's kind of nice. He's like, "Yeah, we expected to play a lot better. You were right with what you said." And also they say thank you and stuff like that. So I appreciate them, and things feel different. And heck, I haven't even been there when they won a match. So who knows? They can't play any worse when I've been there. But you got to be excited with looking with this incoming freshman class, the class above you, because you know so many of them, but knowing the hard work that has to come with it. But like Abby and Kari, and I've talked to them, and yeah, they know they're competing, but it's almost like they're competing with each other, not against each other.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you think about like girls in the same class from the same position, but when this comes back again to just being close to the people around you. Like when you're really close to someone, especially as a girl, like it's really hard to like be super, like even if you're competing for the same spot, to be like mad at them if they're getting that spot over you, because you're just like, that's my friend, like go her, like. And obviously you're gonna want your chance, you're gonna want your time, but at the end of the day, I think we all are just teenage girls who do like to see ourselves get the chances we deserve, but also our friends and our people around us who we live with. And I'm really excited to go live with all those girls, because I'm really excited for those specific people that have been recruited. Like Texas has done a really great job of just building the culture that they always talk about. Like when I went to my official and just being on the campus, like the camp, all that type of stuff, every single time I've had an interaction with one of those girls, it's just been good. And I've gotten no bad feelings about any of them. And it's just really made me more confident in the staff, in the experience, the opportunity, and everything like that, just because of, you can just tell like these people weren't recruited just solely based off their skill. Obviously these people are instantly talented, but they're also recruited based off, okay, like, is this person going to make our team better socially too?
Yeah. For sure. So let's end on a couple more, and I just want you to let's talk with athletes specifically that are watching, parents that might be that have a hard time with it. And it's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for athletes. It's hard to hear difficult things. But if you're going to go where y'all want to go, it's not getting easier to avoid criticism, right? And so what have your parents told you? What does your club director tell you about dealing with criticism and how to accept it, how to confront it, and how to become better because of it? Like, what are some things you've learned? What are some things you do? Especially, it sounds like from your club director, because it sounds like he's been a pretty positive influence for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing is realizing, like, if you're getting feedback or criticism, whatever, it's usually from someone who you respect, from someone that's experienced, more experienced than you. And if you can like recognize that right away and be like, okay, these people are taking their time to watch me as a player, to look detailed at my game and recognize the things that they think that I can improve upon. Not that that they're necessarily bad at, but that I can improve upon because they believe in me to improve in them. Like they think they have that potential. Then it becomes an easier thing to accept and work towards, because you're like, these people that are, have all these titles, they believe in, not titles, but you respect them. They believe in me to get better at this and to be a better player and to reach my potential. And if they didn't, then they wouldn't have said anything. They wouldn't have cared. So I think it's really important to look at feedback as more of an honor, especially from people who you really respect, because it's like, I wouldn't be getting this feedback if they didn't care, if they didn't think I could be that player that they want me to be.
Absolutely. And what do you think about using it? Are you somebody that uses, whether it's negative, or do you use that to fuel you? If it's somebody that you don't respect, are you just like, psh, I'm not wasting a bit of energy? Or do you store that? What do they say now? Keeping receipts. Do you ever do that? Or
I think it depends on the scenario. I think if it's like, I don't know, a student section that's like saying something
yeah,
at me, like, yeah, I'm gonna make the next play better than the last play was. Like, that's just how my brain works. Like, I'm gonna show these people what I've worked for isn't fake. It's exactly what it is, and they're not gonna take that away from me. So I think that is definitely an example of like fueling. I think if it's something that's valuable, I'm not gonna like let that hang on me and be mad about it and like use it as fuel, but I'm just going to keep it in the back of my head and have it around as I'm working on the next things that I think I can improve upon. So I think it just depends who it's coming from, obviously, and like if it's meant to be positive, it's meant to be helpful, or if it's meant to just be bashing and negative.
that's right. Well, so I don't know if you've ever heard, and we'll let you go on this, but I like this since we started. I like to tell everybody, since we started the whole PPV thing, I like to get your guys' input because you probably know a lot more about this than I do. But I do like to tell you guys the backstory is that so I probably wasted too much time when I was a kid and like 35-year-old kid playing video games. But guys play this game called Madden
Mhm.
NFL. Okay. And so Madden, you get all the pro guys get a player rating. Okay. So for volleyball, this is like your Madden score.
Yeah.
Right. And so then when the pros literally got to the NFL, when Coach Madden was still alive, the pros would go talk to Coach Madden about their score. And they'd complain to him and be like, what do you mean my speed was only 95, right? Like, how was I not 100? And it was kind of like a running joke with them. So a couple of years, like if you're an all-American setter, what do you think? Are you going to find me and be like, Tipton, what do you mean I was only a 285? Or are you going to be like, yeah, that was pretty accurate? Or, I mean, how do you think we're doing?
Yeah, I think especially giving players who have a lot of, awards and stuff on up their sleeves, like giving them that motivation, like, okay, I have 15 more points to be a 300. I don't think I should ever be a 300 as a setter, but I think that's definitely
Thank you,
motivating.
Genevieve. Thank you.
Yeah, that's impossible. You can't be perfect as a setter, especially. You can't be perfect in any position, but I think there's so many not ways you can mess up as a setter, but there's a lot of things in your game that have to be really critiqued and really like fine-tuned to be really, really good. So I think I'm just gonna keep working hard to see if I can get that score up before I leave. But definitely it's more motivation to keep working on the little things, because I mean, it gets to a point sometimes where it's like, okay, I can't like take my game from here to here in 3 days. It has to be from here to here in 3 months. So, I mean,
And just so you know, there's a 10 point bonus. So really there's only 6 more points. It goes from 285 to 295. That's like the very top of the bonus. So you're really there's a bonus, and I like that. Now we where I get the most heat is from the liberos, and we they don't think I score them. They think I score them. We score them too tough.
yeah.
And my thing was that, you know, that they nobody offers the liberos first, but now I'm learning that, hey, everybody's loading up on this back wall. Everybody wants all these 3 basically liberos in the back row to win a national title. So we might have to reevaluate. This is ever changing, right?
Yeah, the
And
game's changing, definitely.
the game's changing, and I didn't know it the first time. So now it's changing, and I didn't know the first time. So I'm totally okay with you guys giving me a hard time about it, and I'll learn. But I appreciate it, and you have jumped up since last December, and a big part of that's been your leadership and your attitude. You guys also know that the only thing I have anything to deal with is the off the court and the body language stuff. I leave the volleyball stuff to people much more intelligent than I am, but we will leave you with that. And being such a veteran of the recruiting game, we always have to have you do this. Give your 27 the youngsters, if you will, give the youngsters some feedback, some input as they get ready in a few months to go through what you went through. Give them a piece of advice before we let you take off here.
I would just say follow your heart. Like, really, like if you have a gut feeling, if you have just some voice that's in your head, like it's probably the right one. Like it's hard to just ignore it. And if you make a decision based off what somebody else is telling you or what on social media is telling you, because I saw a million things on social media before June 15th about talking about where I was going to go. And I was like, oh, what, like, okay, like, I don't know why they're talking about that. But, and if you let any of that affect your decision, your mindset, you're just not going to be happy and satisfied in the end. You may be, but maybe not to the amount that you could have been if you just followed your heart. So I'd just say follow your gut feeling. It's the right one.
Genevieve, now let me out. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I think I always had you in the burnt orange, but do you think the 27s will take any longer than you drive through class of 2026? Do you think they'll take any, or will it be short and sweet like you guys did?
I mean, if you know what you want and you're that first phone call, you just get this feeling. Like I remember I was like literally I was like tapping my mom's leg because she didn't want me to commit on the first phone call. And then I did. I was like, I accept. If you get that feeling, like just do it because it's right.
All right. Well, you're going to Texas, and I never got a college offer in my life, so I'm gonna let you be the boss here. You get it, but you did great, and that's awesome. So you guys start this weekend. You said your first match or first tournament?
First tournament this weekend. Leave tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for your time. I will run into you at Triple Crown and am excited for it. But thanks for your advice. And really, it's been a pleasure to watch you, your leadership on the court and your story. And hopefully it helped. Best of luck to you. And we will see you down the road. And thank you for your time. And as always, keep doing well. Congratulations on your gold medal last summer, by the way. And yeah, that's something that nobody can ever take away from you. So that's pretty cool. But everybody, Genevieve Harris, NC Academy 2026 recruit and University of Texas commit. And you'll hear more from her, plenty more from her down the road. And you will hear more from us next week with our next guest. And keep following us. Hey, thank you, everybody. We got back over 10,000 followers in under 9 months after getting hacked last year. It took us about 8 years to get over 16,000. It took us 9 months to get over 10,000. So we appreciate you, and we're going to keep growing. So thanks to people like Genevieve for following us and subscribing. We will let you go, Genevieve. Have a great night. And to everybody else, yes, we will see you soon, Genevieve. To everybody else, thank you for your time. It's been the VB Adrenaline Podcast, and we thank you all for your time. Take care.